you look at Jim Johnson's golf career, all of it spent at the club at Rolling Hills, it's hard to believe he didn't pick up a golf club until he was in his 20s. He certainly made up for lost time. By his early 30s, the kid from Greeley was Rolling Hills' head PGA golf professional. A skilled teacher and mentor, Jim helped members like Joe Stavist with their games and assistants like Jeff Seltz with their careers.
Jim's a good teacher. He's very patient. I've taken a few lessons from him, more on the golf course. If you ask for his help, he's more than willing to always give you help on your golf game. And I've seen him in years past when he was the head pro at the club. I've seen him just walk down on the range and help people that he saw were in need of help.
The greatest thing Jim taught me is I never saw him get angry on a golf course. So it's kind of an important thing for me now, years later, that I guess some people make fun of me because I don't show a lot of emotion on the golf course, but that's by design. I don't want to ever embarrass myself out there, and I think that's what Jim was really good at. Good shot or bad shot, he just kept going forward and never looked back.
Jim left a lasting impression on the Rolling Hills membership, but perhaps none more significant than the one on Dan and Karen Forey.
Our daughter passed on in an automobile accident that spring. Jim came to us one day and told my wife and I that he would like to help put together a tournament, the Ashley Forey Golf Tournament. He was the initiator of the whole project and idea. He went to the club and talked to them about using the golf course behind me as the a place to play the tournament. And we started, and that was 19 years ago.
Jim excelled on the course. He played on the Colorado PGA Cup team for 37 years and earned Colorado PGA Senior Player of the Year honors in 1995, 1996, and in 1998 when he won both the Colorado Senior Open and Colorado Senior PGA. He qualified for 2 U.S. Senior Opens in 1995 and 1998.
A day that I will never forget, and I had qualified for the U.S. Senior Open, and it was back in Cleveland, and the first day I went down to the tee, and there was a couple of club pros on the tee, and I asked the starter if I could get out, and he said, sure, you can join these guys. And so I went up and introduced myself, and we were going to play, and one of their friends came walking up and wanted to join us, and so he talked to them, and they said, yeah, come on. So he said, well, let me run over to this driving range. I signed up to play a little bit later. And so he ran over there, and he came back, and he said, well, I'm not playing with you guys. Gary Player signed up to play with me. And so he said, I'm going to go back to the range and warm up. So he left, and he had just left when Gary Player walked up the tee and asked, can I get out early? And so Gary joined us. But the story goes on because we got around to the 4th hole, and there was a big crowd following us, probably close to 1,000 people, following Gary, obviously. And we were walking down the fairway, and a little boy held out his cap, and Gary said, come on out, I'll sign that for you. And we kept walking, and the little boy didn't move. We went a little farther, and Gary hollered back, come on, you got younger legs than I do. And the boy still didn't move. So Gary turned around, went over there, and signed the cap. And we walked on down the fairway, and the marshal came up to us and said, Mr. Player, the reason that the little boy didn't come out when you called is because he's deaf. And Gary turned around and gave a couple of hand signals. He must know sign language. And that little boy came running out from under the ropes and ran up there, and Gary ran back to him and picked him up and gave him a hug. And everybody was, they were in awe. It was an incredible moment. And I'll never forget that. Gary Player, in my mind, is a real gentleman.
Of all Jim's playing partners, the most frequent was Colorado Golf Hall of Famer Vic Klein. The two played hundreds of pro events together.
Yeah, Jim is uniquely qualified to be in the Colorado Golf Hall of Fame because he's a great teacher. If you ask any of his members, they will speak highly of his teaching ability. He's a great businessman. He's run a great golf shop, and he's just a great individual. He has a philosophy that he'll do whatever is good for the game of golf and good for his members. And that's a quality that you need to be recognized. It's not just what you do for yourself, it's what you do for everybody else to be recognized. And if you ask any of his members, I know a lot of his members over the years, and they speak very highly of him because he does what is good for the game of golf. And that's an attribute that is very significant to me.
Jim says he could never have done what he's done without the support of his loving family. It gives the Board of Directors great pleasure to welcome Jim Johnson into the Colorado Golf Hall of